He said, I baptize you with water, but there's one coming after me that will baptize you with fire. Why fire? Because nothing remains in its present form when fire touches it. If you have made a promise that you don't keep, what are you? You are a liar.
Father, forgive them when they start exploiting their friends. Father, forgive them for backdoing their mans. Father, forgive them. I'ma just pray they repent. Hope that no favor ain't fair. I'm the reason they stopping.
God said, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive your sins and heal your land. So don't look to them, look to God, look to yourself, break your covenant with hell and death, then make a covenant with Black America and let's help it.
Welcome to another edition of Passing Your Torch. This is episode 10, I believe, our Manhood series. Today I have a special guest, Mr. Joey Jones, a personal friend of mine. We went to school together, actually college together, played football together. Always been a great guy. Outside of Philly, where he's from. He just explained to me in between New York and Philly.
It's called Eastern Pennsylvania.
Eastern Pennsylvania. So, but we have a lot to share. I'm going to have his perspective on a lot of things. First, we're going to talk about how we kind of met and how we kind of meshed together as friends. And we're going to go into some things. He's a businessman. This brother's doing a lot of big things with different products, with, I believe, cannabis and other things that he's got going on. But I want the world to see and know who my good friend Joey Jones is. Welcome, Joey. How you doing, brother?
Doing fine.
You doing all right?
Happy to be here, young
Yes,
man.
sir.
Happy to be here.
Yes, sir, man. I think I just saw you home. Oh, your birthday.
Yep.
I saw you here in the city. But I called you on the show today, man. You know, I don't know how much you knew about what I was doing as far as this podcast, Passing the Torch. And this is actually episode 10. And, you know, when I seek a person to come onto the show, everybody I've had a relationship with that's been on the show, and I've handpicked certain people for a reason. Number one, I feel like they're good people. Number two, I feel like they have something to say when it comes to this topic, manhood. Also, you're an entrepreneur and you're making strides in the industry that you're in. I want the world to get a chance to see and hear and know what you're doing. So first off, man, you know, as this being a manhood show, we met when we were young men and trying to find our way. And I know from personal experience, my love for you came from just your realness. Like, you was always a positive dude. You was a big dude. You're not as big as you used to be. I used to call you Big Joey.
Yep.
You slim and trim Joey now.
Yep.
So
You used to be on me a little bit, man. You used to be on me a little bit, man. You used to be on me.
So you came in with a younger class, I think 2 years behind me, and it was just, you know, it was just a match made right off rip, man. You was just a good guy, always positive, always had good things to say, even though I was in some bull a lot of times. But you always was my guy, man. And, you know, we just, you know, our friendship just grew from there, man. So do you remember when we first met?
Yeah, I don't remember the first exact time, but I remember, you know, you were, for those who don't know Trib, he was totally different than what he is right now. Totally different. He was a little bit of a, you know, kind of a troublemaker, but in a good way, in a playful way, you know. But what connected me to him was he always had a vision, you know, especially outside of football. That's when I really seen his vision. He was always doing things that other people weren't doing, you know. He was the first one I seen become an entrepreneur right out of college. I was highly impressed with what you were doing because I kind of went the other way and went to grad school and got a job and everything. And I hated what I did. I hated working for other people. So I always kind of looked up to you and see you always made your own way. For some reason, you were always able to find out how to get to the bag, how to get to the meat, and exploit the meat and keep it.
Yeah.
You know, so I was always impressed with that, man. So,
That's
and you
what's
were
up.
always, and in football, you were always funny. You know, he used to crack on my neck. You know, I used to have some necks, Google bumps. And he used to destroy me. But it was all in play. When you play college football, you got to have some thick skin, man.
Yes,
So,
sir.
you know
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying? So,
That's true, man.
but it made us closer,
Yeah.
you know, and then you end up
Yeah.
moving, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, we always been kind of connected to each other.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
say that. Always
Yeah.
great, always good energy, man.
That's true, man.
Always great energy.
That's true, and to me, that's the definition of a real friend is that we don't have to talk every day.
Yep,
you
yep,
know what I'm
yep,
saying?
yep.
But when we get together, it's love. It's like we was together yesterday,
Yep,
and I appreciate that about you, Joey, man. But this show is called Passing the Torch, and the guys that I have on here, we kind of talk about, you know, what's going on in today's society as far as manhood is concerned. These young men, the young guys. As you know, I had group homes for at-risk youth treatment programs and stuff, you know, years ago, 12 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. I've been in this field for a long time as far as nurturing and kind of building young men.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see you're a father. How many kids you got?
3,
3 kids. How old are they?
16, 18, 20.
So you fathered young men, and from what you see in today's society and what's happening with these young men, especially the boys, what would you say is the missing ingredient?
Well, that's a great question. I would first back it up a little bit, though.
Mm-hmm.
I will first start off with a definition of a man,
Mm.
because a lot of people talk about man
Mhm.
and what a man is supposed to be and what a man should do, but exactly what is
Mhm.
a man and what isn't a man?
Absolutely.
How do you tell the difference between a man and a boy? Right? You could say this guy's a man, but he's really a boy,
Mhm.
right? So what is the difference?
Mhm.
These are just my opinions that I can give you, right? So how do you tell the difference between a boy and a man? Because it's not money, because there's many little boys out here that got plenty of money,
Plenty of
especially with being online and everything.
Right.
Not about responsibility. There's boys who live out there on their own and who are responsible, right? So there's one thing that's the difference is a man refused to be subjected.
Mm.
Right? Boys you can subject a boy. Boys, that's why they called us boy back then,
Right.
because we were subjected.
Uh,
It's not because anything else. Because
Right.
hey, we were and still are. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to define man, the way I define it is a man is refused to be subjected with his life.
mhm.
Okay, boys can be subjected. So when you have black men, we call ourselves men, but black males,
Yeah.
we're dominated and mistreated and subjected in 10 different areas of activity.
Okay.
Right? Would you like me to name a couple
Yes,
of
sir,
them?
please
All right.
do.
We'll start off with education. We're totally dominated and mistreated in education. We don't even understand what education is. For us to say you're educated, that means you're not being taught anything else. No one is ever educated. You're always learning, always still learning, right? And what is education? It's not a school, it's not a book. It's really learning everything you need to know
That's right.
for your whole entire life.
That's right.
Right? That's what education really is.
That is.
And we don't know that as black people,
Mhm.
because if we did, we would be able to solve our problems.
Right. Correct.
We got entertainment.
Same.
Enough said about entertainment. We know we're dominated and mistreated in entertainment, right? Then you got economics. Okay, economics just ain't really money. Economics is really time and energy. Who controls your time and energy? How? Right? Then you have labor. I worked for many companies. I know how people are treated. So if you're dominated and mistreated in labor, how are you going to be a man when you got to come home to your community? You got law, right? Law is terrible for many people of color, right? You got politics, right? You got religion. And religion isn't really about God or anything like that. It's a strong belief backed by action. That's what religion is, right? Then you got sex. We don't even know who's a male or a female now, right? We really don't.
Right.
Can I be a female tomorrow?
Right.
You know, and then you got war, right? If you look there's no one that goes up against the people that have the power with it. Not even close. And then you have the 10th one, which is artificial intelligence. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're dominated and mistreated, how can you call yourself a man? Because you're subjected. If you're going to be the pillar of a community like man and woman should be, if you're subjected, that means you're not really running your community. That means the person who's subjecting you is running your community. So I aspire to be a man, but we get that we just call people man.
Right.
We should aspire to be men. That way we can actually have a goal to get somewhere. Because if we're saying that we're men, they're going to be like us. They need to be better than us, right? Otherwise, we're just going to be going in circles doing the same exact
Okay,
thing.
so, I mean, I heard what you said about how you feel the foundation of a man.
Yep.
What age do you think typically we morph into manhood?
I don't think we morph into manhood. I think we're always working towards it.
You're always working.
We're always working towards it. I think it should be taught from day one, from when we're born. You know, manhood is something that we aspire to be, because if we were men, we would have, our women wouldn't be wearing hair like that. Right? We wouldn't be so caught up in impressing people with material
stuff.
Right? Every time we get, and no offense to black women, I love black women. I'm married to one, and I'm not trying to disrespect you, but what I'm saying is that a lot of that comes from the dominated society controlling what beauty is, right? And beauty, if you look at Miss America, what do they look like? They all got the long hair. We call this Barbie. They all got long hair, so I don't blame them. You know what I'm saying? I respect them and I love them.
Yeah.
But we have lost control of them. Because we lost control of ourselves.
Right.
You know, we look at our last names. We have lost control of ourselves.
Right.
So if we want to be men, we have to pull the onion back, peel it back, start from scratch, and say this is where we're at, and then where do we want to go?
So as far as like, so how do you lead your boys, like as their father? Do you tell them exactly what to do, or do you just give them information and let them figure it out?
Gosh, that is a great question, Trib. What I do is I use thought, speak, action.
Okay.
So, but everything, your thought and your speak and your action has to be something of constructive value. So if it's constructive value, that means you're solving problems.
Right.
So if your thought is about solving problems, your speech is about solving problems, and your actions at the end would be about solving problems.
That's deep.
And if it's not solving problems, then you got to get rid of it.
Right.
But if it's solving problems while making new problems, then you still got to get rid of it. Right. So you want to solve problems while making less problems or canceling out those problems.
I love that. I love that viewpoint, man. I never thought about it like that. You know, because typically I've raised a lot of boys. You know, and just my last son, I call him my son. He just graduated from high school in Atlanta, and you know, I wrote him a letter for graduation because everybody was happy for him, whatever. You know, and I'm typically the only real male in his life. You know, I chose to write him a letter. Actually, my mom did the same for me. My dad was deceased. My mom did the same for me, and that's what kind of led me to church, find God, because I was in search of manhood. Like, what is a man? You know how I was in college. I was so wild and just thinking that, you know, being the man was about sleeping with as many bad women as I could. Because, you know, people kind of put you on a pedestal, especially young, like, oh, he got all the bad women, all the bad chicks. So young, I thought that was the man. Like, I'm being a man, that's how a man's supposed to represent himself. And I kind of saw my father womanizing as well, growing up from what I could remember. So, but at a certain age, I think I was 26, and I said, I know that ain't it, man. This ain't manhood, bro. And, you know, I wanted to change. I was tired of everybody looking at me like, you're right, I was a troublemaker. And a lot of stuff that I started and on to be 100 was because I was jealous of a lot of people.
Okay.
And what I was jealous of is that y'all came from families that had mom and dad at home or a good school district, whatever. I was a hustler, young. Like, I rebelled against my stepdad. You know what I mean? Even though we had a better way of living when my mom married him, but I didn't want to let my father down, if you understand what I'm saying. I felt like I was betraying my dad if I befriended this man. And he was a good man, solid, financially set. I mean, knew how to, manage money. He could taught me a lot of stuff that I rejected because I didn't want my father to feel some type of way.
Got you.
So
Yeah.
as I graduated, so when I saw some of y'all, like, man, you, Jamie, Dre Grind, I mean, a lot of guys that I got close to saw that y'all had good families. Like, y'all come from good stock. I was envious of that. So, and most people that tear people down is because it's something that they're lacking. You understand what I'm saying? Even though I made it funny and jokester, whatever, because I ain't want you to know really, like, I'm jealousy, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I moved in that vein. So my mom wrote me a letter, and it was just like, son, you need to go. And that was the first time I ever found like men that have wives and kids that they're raising and they're nurturing, rearing the right way. First time I ever saw that. So that's all I knew to do. So I wrote him a letter for his graduation, just what I felt a man is and what he should be aspiring to be. Like, I know his mom used to always be like, you don't do this, you don't, like, I can't discipline your son.